if I have a giving attitude, well, I could use my jet. I don't have to not only donate to a cause, monetarily. I could utilize my jet, and I can actually take the patient to their care. So, and you'll hear us always say, it's a line we use all the time, fill a seat with hope.
Yeah.
So if you have this asset, you're already planned to go somewhere, you're just taking along a special guest.
Welcome to Own the Jet by Aspen Aero Group, where we share perspectives from some of the leading voices in private jet ownership and business aviation. I'm your host, Derek Savage, along with my co-host, Jason Spoor, president of Aspen Aero Group. Our guest today is Rebecca Fre-Hiwet from Corporate Angel Network. Rebecca and her team help match cancer patients with unused seats on corporate flights so they can reach the treatment that they need. Join us as we dive deep into the mechanics, mindset, and moments that define jet ownership. And together, we'll learn what it takes to own the jet.
Rebecca Fre-Hiwet, thank you so much for joining us on Own the Jet, and thank you for being here on location with us at Millionaire in White Plains, New York.
Place to be. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Awesome. So for our viewers here and our listeners on the audio version of this, you're with Corporate Angel Network.
Yes.
What's Corporate Angel Network?
Oh, what's Corporate Angel Network? We are a nonprofit. We provide free air transportation to cancer patients, to put it in a nutshell of what we do.
Yeah.
But we're bigger than that. We're here to save lives. We're here to get people to treatment that they can't access.
So if I have a jet, if I'm in charge of a jet at a corporation, and it's got a regular flight that goes somewhere that you know about, and you've got a patient that needs treatment somewhere or needs a procedure or something where they have to make a flight, you contact me and you say, hey, can we put this person on one of the empty seats on this flight that you're already taking? You don't have to do anything extra.
Nothing.
And you help this person get to their
treatment,
their treatment or whatever it is they need.
Mm-hmm. Whatever, it could be surgery, it could be regular treatment, it could be a follow-up, it could be, they've been in remission and now they're going back every year just for scans.
And I'm assuming they're pretty excited about the ride.
Completely excited. I mean, this is a demographic that in most cases, they would never be flying on a private jet.
Yeah.
You guys allowing them to take that seat takes away a big burden that they have on their shoulder. It's more comfortable. They get there in less time. They can avoid layovers, and it just makes it, sometimes at the moment that they're sitting as a guest on your jet, they forget about what they're really going through.
Yeah. So how many of these flights have you, or how long has Corporate Angel Network been around? I guess that's probably
been in operation since 1981.
Okay.
First flight flew right out of where we are on location, HBN.
Oh, really? Okay, so it was here.
Yes, the
Nice.
first flight flew from here, and since the early 90s, we were actually housed here on HBN's grounds too. So our offices were here, and we've done since starting, we're about to approach, I would say over 69,000, but we are about to approach our 70,000 flight.
So I got to imagine, now you can't see it on here, but outside this window behind me are just people's jets in hangars, and there are jets all over this airport that we're at. And I got to imagine there's a lot of empty seats.
Always.
I've got to imagine,
Right?
most of these jets have 8, 10, seats in them.
And they're never full. Majority of the, 9
That's
times
right.
out of 10,
Yeah.
they're never full.
Right.
I mean, even when you speak to some of our partners and we're discussing, the logistics of the flight, or we might have a patient that might want to bring, their spouse, but they also have a kid that they may not want to leave home.
Right.
So we'll inquire, how many seats are available. There's always
Enough.
seats available.
Yeah.
There's always enough seats.
But with that said, so where are you needing to get most of your patients to? I'm sure that, because a lot of these guys might not be heading in those directions.
Yeah, I would say our top 2, Houston, Texas, for MD Anderson Cancer Center.
Okay.
New York City, so flying in anywhere in the New York area, Teterboro, HPN, anywhere. You could fly into Newark, and they will take it because they go to Memorial Sloan Kettering. Those are our top 2.
Well, and how hard is it for these patients to travel otherwise, right? How hard is it for them to drive cross country being, in the condition that they're in, or to have to deal with all of the stuff that's involved in a commercial flight and all? I mean, that's
It's
a lot, right? I mean, it's like
It is,
that's
and it's
tough.
not. See, the thing is, it's not a one-off for most of them. This is if I'm accepted into a clinical trial.
Sure.
I have a requirement to be there once a week, maybe.
Yeah.
Every 3 weeks. It's a back and forth, and you can't interrupt that care. And the hard part about it is cancer is so widespread now. We're at a point where everybody you meet knows somebody
Oh,
or
yeah. Been
close to
affected
them
by
that
it.
that's been affected by
Sure.
it. So now it's even like a waiting list game. I mean, we've
Right.
had a lot of people come to us after a point where they've been doing the drive for the first 2 years of their treatment.
Yeah.
But now they're weak. It's tiring. It's taking a toll on them. And even though their drive is maybe 3 hours, for us, that's not bad. Take the drive, right?
Right.
For them, it's a different story.
With that, is there, who qualifies for this? Is there a cap limit? Is there a bottom?
Nope.
How did
We ha-
anybody can qualify?
Anybody, all you have to do is have a cancer diagnosis. I will say, on the aircraft that is provided to us and donated to us, you would have to be ambulatory.
Right.
Right.
When you
So-
say ambulatory, what does that
Able
mean?
to walk on your own. Like you
Okay.
can
Yeah.
use, if you have a walker that you need to use to get you close to the plane and it folds and you can get up the stairs.
Okay.
But
Gotcha.
not saying you have to be able to walk a certain steps, amount of steps at a time, but
Yeah.
ambulatory, able to kind of
Okay.
move on your own. But you
Yeah.
are allowed to bring a companion with you.
Okay.
So
Good.
you'll always, be able, free of charge. It doesn't cost the patient, doesn't cost the partner.
Gotcha. How do patients find out about Corporate
Well,
Angel Network?
That's what we're trying to work on. So right now we're at a point where anybody I ask, how did you hear about us? It's word of mouth.
Okay.
No matter how much we do on websites, on social media postings,
Yeah.
patients are hearing about us when they're receiving active treatment, when they're
Okay.
at MD Anderson.
So it's the
When they're at-
hospitals and the
yes.
doctors and nurses
and the
that-
patients that have utilized us. But right now, the main thing is word of mouth. And I think that's why we try to put ourselves in places that we can just speak on it. Because
Yeah,
it's
sure.
really the only way that it gets out.
Like on the jet.
Like
right.
right here, perfect.
Yeah, we love it.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
what we're trying to do. Spread the word.
So speaking of owning a jet, so if I own a jet and I hear this and I say, well, this sounds like something that would be, maybe there could be benefits for me besides being a good person and feeling good
Right.
about it. You guys are a nonprofit. Is there a way? Like, obviously, if I wanted to make a donation, that would be something that you guys would want
Oh, absolutely.
to have, right?
And we do talk about that. We put that out there. But our biggest thing is we want the flight lift.
Right,
we
right.
have
Yeah.
the need because we know how many people are out there. But there's so many ways to help.
Yeah.
You can, from monetary donations, sponsorships at
Yeah.
our fundraisers. We're
What
always
events do you
able-
guys go to?
So we go to BASE, NBAA's conference and exhibition. We go to the regional forums, NBAA. So we go to Miami is where it is this coming year.
Okay.
We attend the one here, right on location.
For context here,
Mm-hmm.
NBAA is an industry organization of people in private aviation.
Yep.
And BASE is their big conference they do every
Huge,
year.
yep.
Is it always in Vegas?
So when I joined Corporate Angel Network, I think that was 2022, and it was in Orlando that year.
Okay.
But when we were in Orlando, they committed to, I believe, 5 years in Vegas.
Okay. For people that aren't familiar, it's kind of like a big trade show, right?
Yes.
It is.
Yeah.
It's the industry's
And
big
it's the
event.
industry's
event,
big
yep.
trade show.
Yeah.
So you guys have a big presence at the industry's big
Yes.
trade show. This
Right.
year it's in Vegas in October, is that right?
right.
Yes, I think it starts on the 14th.
Could be.
Yeah, 14th, 15th, and 16th.
Okay. Great.
So- and
and
what-
you're going to be there and have a big presence there
Yep.
this year.
We're
Okay.
there. We're gonna be there always. We're so happy to be there. That's our biggest. Even it's NBAA's biggest event, but for us, it's. I mean, the connections we make, the thank yous we're able to give, and we're always hosting our one annual fundraiser during that time too. So it's big for us.
Okay.
And what days? That's on the.
That's always on the Wednesday.
Right. Okay.
The Wednesday evening, so it's kind of, everybody's at base at the convention all day long.
Yeah.
It ends at about 4:00.
Yeah.
And we're right across the street at the Fontainebleau.
Yeah.
So you literally just walk out the doors of the convention center, cross
across the
over,
street, not
and
to
it's
hit.
it's a 2-hour cocktail reception.
Yeah.
We have a silent auction. Our president and CEO Bob Stangerone speaks. NBAA Ed Bolin usually speaks during that event as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
We do a live giving moment. It's fun. It's about 2 hours of, giving, having a good time, hearing more about our mission.
Yeah.
And then you go out and hit the streets of Vegas.
Nice, nice.
We don't make it too long because we know
Right.
that week is a week of events. Vegas is full of just business aviation the whole entire week.
What's
it's
the
nice.
biggest silent auction gift? What is it? Do you know? What's the most
It's
bizarre?
a golf cart.
It's a golf cart.
And it's
Electric,
fought
probably.
for every year.
Okay.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
So that's the
and
item.
it's actually usually placed on the floor of the convention during the time.
so you get to look at
So
it.
people can look at it, see that know that it's available.
Yeah.
So is
Yeah.
it styled or branded in any specific way, or is it just like a nice golf
No,
cart?
it's just a nice golf cart. It's
Okay.
usually
Can we
decked
brand it and
out,
put our
good.
stuff
you
all
wanna,
over it?
you want to brand it?
I think I do.
I'll see who I could talk to.
I think I want to.
I'll see who I could
we
talk
can
to.
we can sell space on the go. It'll be
Yeah,
like an
there you go.
NASCAR when we're done.
There
We're
you
coming
go.
up with some ideas.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then a bunch of really nice vacation packages, some signed books. We've done some signed tennis rackets before. So a bunch of items. Again, big thank you to everybody who supports us. I mean, we never really know what we're going to get, but some repeat stuff, new things. It's a great silent auction. It's a nice setup. Everything always goes. It's a good time.
That's cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
How many
That'd be
patients do you typically work with at any given time?
On an average, we get about, I'll go by month.
Okay.
We get anywhere from 300 to 400 requests.
Oh wow.
So that's just giving you
awesome. Wow. Yeah. That's
an
a lot.
idea of
That's
the need.
Yeah. That's a
And
lot
then
of
we're
people.
averaging right now about 135 to 45 flights per month.
Okay.
So it kind of shows you we need the flight lift,
You do.
but
Yeah.
we are still saving lives. We're still able to complete the mission, but we have so much more to do.
yeah.
So
yeah.
with the flight lift,
Mm-hmm.
I imagine we talked about jets, and of course, I'm sure that's a large scale of it. But
Mm-hmm.
what about the turboprop market? What about who all do you
Well, we never
take flights from?
We never touched the turboprop market, but I'm proud to say that we did make a press release in September of 2024 that we are now accepting turboprops. We're expanding our
Good.
fleet, not
Good. Good.
expanding the fleet because we want to grow the mission. So
Right,
in order to
right.
do that, we have to dip into a couple buckets we've never dipped into before.
Right.
So after discussing the logistics and how can we make this work, the only requirement if you're a turboprop operator is that it's 2 pilots and pressurized cabin.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
And that's just based off of safety.
Sure.
But yeah, we've expanded it. We went back historically and reached out to a couple people who did want to partner with us prior, but we weren't accepting turboprops.
Right.
So we've
Yeah.
done that outreach, and they're
Was
very
that just because the
excited.
turboprops are like smaller typically, or not as?
You know what? Not sure.
Okay.
To be honest,
It was just one of those rules that
Yeah.
started off and
Somebody-
just happened to
Yeah.
exist.
Yep. And it's not a matter. Of course, we're a corporate angel network, so we've really dealt with corporations and their aircrafts and their companies. But when you look at the mission, if I'm going to sit here and say I want to save lives,
Right.
I can't
Yeah.
just limit it.
Right, right.
So
Exactly,
and
yeah.
we're going to expand. And
Yeah.
when all heads came together, it's been amazing to have our president and CEO join us. He joined us last year, 2024.
Right.
And,
And his name is
Bob
Bob?
Stangarone.
Okay.
Well known in the aviation industry, has years in here, so he came with this knowledge that we needed.
Okay.
And he came in with this, what can we do to increase the flight lift? What are we doing now and what can we do better?
Yeah.
So when we
Makes
kind of
sense.
looked, looked at the layout and we were like, well, this is all we take. We've had people reach out saying they want to partner.
Yeah.
But we didn't accept the partnership because written somewhere, we couldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now we
Yeah.
couldn't find the reason why not.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
it's
Yeah.
being done.
Nice.
You know,
Nice.
and
Of course.
expanded to some commercial airlines.
Good.
And donations of some vouchers that we can use, and looking out for that's where the monetary donations come in.
Sure.
If they come in, we are putting that in a bucket. Where
Uh-huh.
if we can't find you a corporate flight, which we work so hard to try and do,
Yeah.
if you're able to fly commercially and not too immunocompromised,
Right.
we can purchase you a commercial ticket. So that's where the growth is coming with
Okay.
Corporate Angel Network. It wasn't really something we were doing before.
Makes sense.
But now we're doing it.
Yeah, and we were talking earlier. It's not just corporations, right? It's
Right.
like if I'm an entrepreneur,
Right.
if I own a large company or some kind of I don't know, let's just say I'm a rich person with a jet, right? And I want, and I'm hearing about Corporate Angel Network, and well, I'm not a corporation, so oh well. But you're saying we want the flights.
We want the flights.
You'll take it.
For example, we have a group of guy friends, all of them just have money, So they went and came together and bought a jet. They bought an aircraft. And they kind of share it. They rotate it as buddies. They're kind of like, oh, this is my week, so I'm going to take it, and this is my week. So that's how they kind of have their calendar.
Okay.
By who has it on the week. So one of them was like, on my weeks, if I'm not doing anything, I want to help Can.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome.
there was no
Well,
stopping that.
I'm just thinking about this, like if I'm in their seat, right?
Right.
And I have the ability to help somebody in that way, one, I'm going to be able to know that I'm doing my part to help people, right? Which makes me feel good about things.
Right.
But two, it's like I might make a new friend.
I think that's what people need to hear. They need to hear that side of that. Yes, you're doing your part in giving back, right?
Yeah.
You're filling a seat with hope. That's our saying. You're saving a life, but you don't know who you can meet. And for me, I've been sitting here this whole time, and I probably even haven't smiled this much. But for me, that's the part that I love about it, because that's when we get the phone calls from the patients saying, it was just the best experience. They sat with me. They listened to me. Because I think there's a negative stigma around individuals who own private jets or even
for sure
business
there is.
aviation.
For sure there is.
So your average person doesn't think that they want to do good.
Yeah.
But
Right.
they do. And then when they get that experience to sit on their aircraft and talk to them and feel like it's just normal and it's just natural,
Yeah.
I don't think people understand what that means to the patient.
Yeah.
And we see it because we get essays long of thank yous and stories and, pictures of the whole crew with the patient.
Yeah.
So it's amazing. And that's the bright side.
Yeah.
And I'm
of
sure
what
that
we
goes
do.
both ways too. I'm sure the people who own the jets
Right.
and fly the jets and operate the jets,
Right.
that they're happy to make the connection
Yep.
as well. I
Yep.
mean, that I would be.
Yeah.
You know,
For sure.
if it were my jet,
Yeah.
I would be like, yeah, come on.
Yeah,
So-
and sometimes a lot of the flights, the person who owns it isn't on the flight sometimes, not
Right.
always, but
Right.
you're making a difference because you've offered your aircraft, whether you're on it or not.
Yeah.
You're doing great. We appreciate you. We want more people like you.
Yeah.
And we just want to help. And again, and I think what might block it sometimes too is what's the legalities behind this? Like,
Yeah.
what am I getting into? Is this going to cost me? Is this
Yeah.
something extra?
That's
Do I
certainly
need,
a question that would come up. For sure.
Yeah. Do I need to
Yeah.
have some kind of waiver, special?
Yeah, so there's like an
special-
insurance you gotta
Right.
have or
Right.
something, or
No, so that's all I can really say to them is you're already operating. It's just one person you're adding to the manifest. We've handled that side. If you have a waiver that you specifically have for your passengers on your
Sure.
aircraft, we will make sure our passengers sign it. We will have them
Right.
do whatever it is you need them to do to get on board.
To get on.
just in terms of liability.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Whatever
Yeah.
legality.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So that has sometimes blocked it, but then once the conversation is had
Yeah.
and they kind of understand it, or they meet somebody else who is a partner,
Yeah.
and they're like, "Listen, it's a breeze,"
Yeah.
and you just feel so amazing once you're done.
Yeah.
And then that person will come back and say, "Oh, I talked to so and so, and he just did a Corporate Angel Network flight. I'm ready."
Yeah.
So sometimes it's them speaking to a partner already that
Yeah.
kind of explains to them how simple it is.
Yeah.
And we will cater to all of our partners. Some are very, you can show up whenever you want. You can, we'll depart whenever you need us to. It's all different types. And then there's some that it's very strict. I'm going
Yeah.
for business. I need that passenger here 2 hours before. We will make sure all of that is done. Don't ever worry about it.
Yeah.
We'll make it easy for them. We just want them to open the door and let them get on.
So you're telling me a story about somebody that needed a transplant. Can you go into that for us?
Sure. So we had a 1-year-old boy, little over one. His mother and father reached out to us. They had been waiting for a liver transplant for a very long time, and that's timely. Like, you have to get there when they need you there. You have to. So we were able to
Because when a liver becomes available, it's like
time to go.
this
Gotta
thing's
go.
on ice.
Yeah,
Get
it's
here.
time to go.
Yeah.
And of course, cancer related, his cancer diagnosis kind of led to, this liver failure and needing the transplant.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that easy. It wasn't, we just need to go, me, mom, and dad. No, it was, we need to be there for a while. Because post-surgery of a transplant, we'll have you there for about 6 weeks or more.
Right, because they've got to make sure it doesn't
Right.
get rejected. They've got to give
Right.
them all kinds of medication,
Right.
all sorts of
So kind of unique scenario because this was, we need to get more than the normal amount of people that we get to treatment. We need to get the whole
Yeah.
family there.
Gotcha.
So he also had a newborn sibling.
Oh, wow.
Right. So mom is dealing with the sibling,
Yeah.
this diagnosis as well. You're battling. I don't want to just have dad take him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can we all go? Is there? So we ended up getting them via NetJet. So this is a part of our donation.
Yeah.
Great.
So monetary is also NetJet hours
Right.
that
Okay.
we love and accept with
yeah.
open arms.
Sure.
Because sometimes we do have the need of putting a very immunocompromised patient on a plane by themselves.
Okay.
So in this instance, we were able to pack up the whole family, get them there at whatever time they needed to get there, whatever day they needed to get there,
Yeah.
with all of their stuff included. So
Yeah.
no real restriction on you can only bring, one bag, being that they were staying there for 6 weeks. So we got them there. They were there for the 6 weeks. They reached out towards the end, and everything was successful, doing good. Got them back.
Great.
And he's in remission.
Good.
And he's doing
That's
amazing.
awesome.
And we get to see that. So that's a win for me because, yes, there's longer journeys that we follow where
Yeah.
it's not that, we haven't had to fly this patient ever again. It was a one and done,
Yeah.
but it was a win. And even though we love what we do and we want to do it every day, we love to hear that you don't need our service anymore.
Oh, yeah.
So it was a huge one for us. It was a celebration. We follow his page. We look at
Yeah,
him growing.
good.
Now he has this cute little mohawk. He's
Yeah.
just full of life,
Right.
and
That's
that's a win for
awesome.
us
Yeah,
because
for sure.
what would it have cost them
Yeah,
to do
yeah.
that on their own?
Yeah.
Would they
Right.
have made it to it if we didn't offer that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wonder. So
point.
that's the wins for us.
Yeah.
And even if that scenario definitely could have been a corporate flight. I think it was just the rush and the need, and it was like, well, let's not take too long looking
Yeah.
at schedules, reaching out, seeking approvals. We have these NetJet hours that kind people donated.
Yeah.
Let's use that.
Yeah.
And this is something that's personal to you as well. I mean, like, can you talk about how you got involved with Corporate Angel Network and kind of like your reason for wanting to do this?
Yeah, and I'll make sure I don't get emotional. So my reason for wanting to do this is I lost my father to pancreatic cancer. And anybody who knows, cancer already is just a wicked disease, and it's disgustingly spread out across this world.
Yeah.
Pancreatic cancer comes and takes you out really quickly, unfortunately. And nowadays I see the change in medicine, but when my dad was diagnosed with it, we had 4 months. And he was a retired diplomat and he was living in Ethiopia, where he's from.
Yeah.
So there wasn't the right care. And not saying we currently don't do any international flights, but bringing him here to the US, it was too late. After wasting so much time in an area that didn't have the treatment, by the time that he got here, it was too late.
Yeah.
So, I lost my dad at 15.
Wow.
And I lived a life of trying to figure out what can I do to give back to the cancer community. But in my, wild years, remember I lost him at 15, I kind of didn't really know what I wanted to do. I needed to get my life together.
Sure.
So, did a couple, odd end jobs and, found my place in administrative and then looked up, I needed a change. And I literally, don't anybody think I'll just walk out of jobs. But I left my job before Corporate Angel
I've done it
Network.
before.
I walked out
Yeah.
because I did not feel complete. I didn't feel like I was doing what made me happy. I didn't feel fulfilled.
Yeah.
And it worked out. I really feel like everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
And they had an opening as a flight scheduler. And I kind of looked at it at first and was like, I could do this in my sleep. Let me apply for it.
Sure.
It's something. But then before my interview with them is when I really looked in to who they were.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, this is it. If I can't get this, now mind you, it was a temporary position they were looking for.
Okay.
But I'm going to go in there and I'm going to give it my all because this is what I want to do for the rest of my career.
Yeah.
And if it could be that, I hope that it is.
Yeah.
So I'm connected to it mainly because of my father. I have two sisters that had a cancer diagnosis during COVID, around the COVID time.
wow.
So that was difficult as well. I mean, they're great. They're clear of it all. But it's close to my family. And, you know,
Yeah.
on my mom's side, on my dad's side. And I just want to give back to that community. It hurts. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's tough.
And you know,
It is tough.
my dad was fortunate enough to be able to get himself to where he needed to be, but not everybody is.
Yeah.
So if I can work to do that, so you can get to this modernized care, because treatment has changed now from when 1998 my dad died to now.
Yeah.
Treatment is different. I watched people live with the cancer he had
Yeah.
for years.
Yeah.
So, you know, if I can get people to that treatment and give them longer lives, not just me, the whole team. I
Yeah.
mean, we're a small but mighty team. We're 5 employees.
Yeah.
But we just want to make magic happen. We want to fill seats with hope.
That's.
Well,
I can't think of a. That's a noble cause. I can't
Yeah.
think of any better
It-
reason to want to fill a seat.
Yeah.
Right.
And I hope with this that it gets out there to some people and
I hope
they
so
reach
too.
out and
Yep.
realize.
I hope so too.
What's in the future
Yeah.
for
What's
Corporate
in the
Angel
future?
Network? Because you're talking about now we're opening it up to the turboprops. This year is going to be a big year for private jet ownership,
Yep.
right? There's we've talked in other shows that we've done about bonus depreciation, and people like now is like the right time to get into private aviation if you've been waiting. What would you say to all the people that are like new jet owners?
I would want you to be thinking about what more I can do with this asset that I own. So what more can I do? If I have a giving attitude, well, I could use my jet. I don't have to not only donate to a cause, monetarily. I could utilize my jet, and I can actually take the patient to their care. So, and you'll hear us always say, it's a line we use all the time, fill a seat with hope.
Yeah.
So if you have this asset, you're already planned to go somewhere, you're just taking along a special guest.
Yeah. I can't think of a better reason to fill an empty seat on a
Right.
jet
Right.
than
Getting a-
than saving a life.
Saving
That's
a life.
Right? So
Getting a child back home to his
Right.
family. And
Right?
Right.
A father back home
Yep.
to his wife and his kids.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's Corporate Angel Network. We'll link to the website and the social channels in the description of the episode. Thank you so much for joining us, Rebecca
you for having
Fre-Hiwet.
me.
And join us next
Pleasure.
time for another episode of Own the Jet.
Thank you for watching Own the Jet. If you want to see more Own the Jet, make sure to subscribe to our channel on YouTube and leave a comment telling us what aspect of jet ownership you'd like to know more about. Own the Jet is brought to you by Aspen Aero Group, your trusted partner in private and corporate jet ownership. Learn more at aspenaerogroup.com. This has been a Savage Media production.